Alright, we're going to start assembling this motor. First we're going to start with the cylinder heads. If you didn't keep up with my project, go ahead and go back and listen and watch my Y-block. Bigger valves and porting and all that stuff on this Y-block. So this is a 272 head that we turned into a 312 head. And we did that by a bigger intake valve. So this is the stock one. This is an original Ford too. It's kind of cool. 1.78, and then this is a 1.925, so a lot bigger. And so that's a 312 intake valve. This is the stock exhaust valve. I 3-angle ground them, better flow. We are changing this from the stock spring to a beehive style. We're adding 20 pounds of pressure to it. So for the extra cam that we'll be doing that, we'll get to that. And then we're changing from an umbrella to a Viton positive seal. And we put new guides in there and all that. So, you know, go back and watch the cylinder head stuff that I have on this engine. It'll be in the same playlist. And enjoy that. There's some cool stuff that I did in this head, but you know, for this we'll just be doing the assembly of the head itself. We're starting off with our locators. This is for comp cams. This one is a Engine Pro spring, so these are comp cams, and then we got a top locator retainer to go on to that. So yeah, that's what we've got going on here. Nothing fancy on the valve seals. It's just a positive Viton, but it's a whole lot better than the original umbrella seals that they put in it. So now this head is going to be good for 600 lift, which it'll never have. But you'll be seeing that the stock was 390 lift, I think. Kind of pathetic. But we're going to be doing a whole lot more than that. But not 600. But it's good for 600. I don't think you could do 600. Cylinder head number 1 is done. So we got our nice beehive springs in there, looking really modern. I'm just really looking forward to hearing this thing run. This is going to be great. The only thing original about this head is the cylinder head itself and the keepers. I'm using the original keepers because, you know, we're on a budget and that saves 25 cents a piece. Not really, that's a joke. But yeah, the only thing original is head and keepers, but everything else is brand new and modernized. So this is going to be awesome. So yeah, cylinder head is done. We're going to get moving on to the block now. Well, we got it on the stand. Everything's scrubbed and everything clean. Make sure all the oil galleys are clean. You don't want anything to blow up anything in here. I just realized I did not order any main bearings for it or rod bearings. Well, the part number for Clevi and sealed power is discontinued. They're all gone. So I found a set of sealed power on Rock Auto, got those ordered. They'll be here in the next 2 days. That's kind of a bummer. I wonder if things are going to get really hard for these motors. And it was the last set that they had. So we got the cam bearings in, and the camshaft is a custom grind. We've got it over here because we're going to be doing some modifications to it on the lathe. And we're going to put a little groove in the center journal. And I'll explain in a little bit why we're doing that. There we go. Get it in the gear that I wanted it in. No rocket science to this. We're just gonna touch it. Let's see, that is 1 and 15/16. know. That seems good. Looks fine to me. Get that deburred a little bit. And let me go explain why I did what I just did. Oil issues we have on the top end are common for these engines, and here's why. Your oil gets pumped through the oil pump, out here, into the filter, in here, to this oil rail. This oil rail feeds into the mains, so it goes in between the webbing here, so it goes right into there, and then it goes up into the mains, to the rods, and then it goes down into the cam journals. Well, how does the top end get lubrication? The top end gets lubrication through this hole right here, which is right here and here on the center cam journal. And then it feeds through that hole into here, out here, right there, into this hole, up to the top, to your valve train. Well, here's the problem with that. If you're feeding oil and then you've got, let's see here, I've already installed them. They look, and these are the old ones. You've only got a little groove in there. It's not that much. And so then it's only getting oil whenever these holes line up, because the oil has to pass through. That's a terrible design. That's horrible. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. So I just cut a little groove in here, and it doesn't take much, just to make sure that there's always oil getting to the top end, not just going whenever these holes line up. Now with that groove, it's always going to be having oil all the time. I think that's genius. And you know what? Another Y block that I'm doing right now, haven't gotten to it, but it has a groove in the center. So I don't know why this one didn't. Anyways, here's the specs that we've got going on this camshaft. So originally it's 190 at 50 or something like that. Very low, very pathetic. And then 390 lift. Right now, this is a custom grind, and we're going to be having 450 lift at 220 degrees of duration at 50 for the intake and exhaust. So we're going to be adding 25, 35, somewhere in there, degrees, and adding 50 lift. This is going to be a nice little camshaft for it. Not going to be too much. It won't be low beat too much, but it's going to have some speed. So we're going to get this installed, and let's make noise as I'm doing this stuff. And we had our original lifters resurfaced because it doesn't cost any more, and I'm already having sent in the cam, so that just makes sense to have them resurfaced and redone up. And it's the same price as buying new ones. Well, the old ones are good quality. The new ones, who knows what you're getting. So always fix the old stuff if it's original. And I don't think you can get much more of a grind out of this camshaft, because if we look at this one over here, we've got a ton of the backside. There's a lot of space there on the backside of that camshaft. Well, we look at our grind, it is almost flat. There is no space back there anymore. So I don't think you can get much more out of this camshaft than this one. So we had the crankshaft balanced, and we got the crank in. Most of the caps are in. And it's feeling really good. The crankshaft, there's a lot of metal taken out of this because we went really light on the pistons. So they ground out all of that material, and then they drilled this big fat hole in there. So I'd say we removed a couple pounds of weight out of this crankshaft. So that's also going to make a big difference. And yeah, so I had the balancing done. I don't do balancing yet. We'll get there. So yeah, that's it so far. It's feeling really smooth, and I'll wiggle it some more as I get some more caps in. Well, we got the crank installed, we got the cam installed, we've got a double roller, and we're putting it on stock timing settings, no fancy advance or anything like that. We got all of our pistons laid out. We are doing a JE piston made by, well, Mummer designed this all, and then JE made it, and then modern Hastings rings. So that's one of the big differences here. Let's put two pistons next to each other, and you can see it's a lot smaller. We're going from 542 grams to 670, from 672 to 542. So we're knocking off 130 gram off of piston and rings. One of the big differences here is you can see that the new rings are a whole lot thinner. We're going to get better bore conformity, and that's going to be a lot better, and weight savings, which isn't massive, but a good amount. And then smaller piston, lighter, just all around better. So the new rings are going to conform to the bore better, and better seal, better compression. So then with rods, this is our stock rod, 645 gram. We're going to 600 gram with a H-beam rod, and so when you add it all up, that's 1,400 grams in savings, which is 3 pounds. That's a lot. And then you can see from earlier the crankshaft, the counterweight's got big holes drilled in it. So I'd say we're probably taking 3.5 pounds off of rotating weight, which is a lot. That's going to be good. And then one thing to know is when you're doing this, there's valve reliefs cut into this. You have to line everything up so that everything's in order, or you're going to have some valves touching if you're doing bigger lift, and because the stock one is just flat, but these are for more duration and lift, so that way your valves won't collide with the piston. So yeah, we're doing some fun stuff here. The torque spec on these bolts are 48 pounds oiled. I don't think it's an ARP bolt. Let's see, so it's 4340 material. No, that's 8740 cap screw. I don't know if that's, let me start over. Lost where I was at. But yeah, 48 pounds. And I used ARP lube for this. It for that. We got our head torqued down with the original bolts, 70 foot-pounds, and it's starting to look like a motor. We got new push rods. It's an SBI factory replacement. These were the ones that were on it. I didn't like that. That's real skinny, and half of them were bent, which is probably because they're too skinny. Don't know what those came off of, because this is SBI 190 1543 factory replacement. I don't understand why this is a 5/16 and then this was a 1/4 inch. Why was it so small? I don't know. But we're going to be putting new push rods in it, and I think they're a little lighter too. About the same weight. A 60 wall. Plenty strong for what we're doing. We didn't add too much lift to the cam. It was 450 instead of the regular 400. So nothing crazy there. But yeah, these are just drop the push rod right in there. That's all there is to that. And then we'll get the rocker arm assemblies on there. So these push rods aren't going to work. This is the 190 1543. What's wrong is my adjuster is screwed all the way in right here, and we've still got a little bit of play. Too much. So I got the next length up. There's only 2 lengths available for this. This is 8 1/8 ish. I think it's 122. There is one that's longer. It's an 8 1/4. I think that's 258. That is part number 190 1221. So those will be here. Well, it's Friday, so it'll probably get here Monday. So we'll get those swapped out for whatever I did in the geometry. The stock adjusters, it's just not going to work. So I think it's easiest just change the push rods, and then we'll keep going on this. So we'll get some other stuff done while that's happening. All right, next day came, Monday. Finally got the new push rods. Already got them in. Here we go, part number 190 1221, and they fit perfect. We've already got this whole side adjusted. Everything's good there. We got plenty of adjustment left, which if it runs out of that much adjustment, you're definitely going to need more new seats again. So we've got these all set up. So if you're doing kind of the same setup, you're probably going to need those longer push rods. So that's what we got going on here. So that part's done. We got that side done. We're going to work on the other side now. So we're getting pretty close to being done with it. We've got the original front cover on. That's all covered. We got original motor mount. Waiting on, I had the water pump rebuilt. That's going to be here. Well, I had it done at a local shop, so I just need to go pick it up. It's done, ready to go. We're going to bolt that up. We got the pan on. Cork gasket, not a big fan, but we siliconed it and it'll hold just fine. I don't like doing that, but that's the way you have to do the old motors like this. Original oil pump, not the original, it's a milling pump. And so we blasted the oil pan. It's all shiny. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. We are, you know, what I think I'm going to do is, the assembly's done, but there is another part to this assembly, and that's making it look really good. So we've got polished valve covers, polished aluminum intake, a little sneak peek, all polished American billet, accessory drive. It's going to be serpentine driven, so it's going to have AC, it's going to have the water pump, all that good stuff, all on serpentine. It's going to be awesome. So, and then we're also going to be doing some paint. So I think that's going to be it for assembly today. I'm going to conclude this part one of this block assembly to this. I think there's really not much more to do except for the top pan. We're going to leave that stock. I think that's going to look fine the way it is. And we're going to have the water pump on there. But yeah, I think the next thing is making this thing look pretty. So we're going to have some paint. We're going to have some polished stuff. We're going to have serpentine belt setup. So that one is new for me. I've never done that kind of a conversion before, but we're going to be trying it on this one. So keep your eye out for part 2 on that one. It's going to be pretty good. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.